No one is really giving any nutrition advice when it comes to shift workers, FIFO people, night shifts. You can't have the same habits and even like follow the nutrition plan as someone who works 9 to 5. 12-hour shifts, it's long. Let's be honest. Fatigue is not something that comes with the job. I strictly discourage people to follow any particular strict diet when you are in mining or via shift work or night shift, because it's really detrimental. You already putting yourself through stress for long hours. Why would you put even more stress when it comes to your food? It's just extra stress which is not needed. Not looking at it as like, oh, I just need to eat because I need to eat. There is a little bit more behind it. You want to be capable. You want to be, switched on. You want to have energy. You don't want to just eat and just, survive day to day.
And food's fuel, right? Like I think
Yes.
people forget that actually what you're putting into your body is fuel. Today, we are lucky enough on the Resource Podcast to have Anna Jarvie, who works in wellbeing, specifically within mining, but has had a plethora of, experience when it comes to your own journey, when it comes to education around nutrition and then helping other people. And it was something that you didn't fall into, but it wasn't necessarily like an intention that you ended up doing. So welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm excited. And it's worked out perfectly. You've come to Perth to go to the awards night where you're already a finalist.
Yes.
And you already won the award. Anyway, what was the award that you won?
So the one I've won in Karratha last year was micro business 0 to 4 and young achiever.
Yeah, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And we've met in Success School, so with Tim and Steph.
Yes.
And we met on a retreat previously, and as soon as we met, one of our mutual friends, Ruth, was like, you guys are going to get along. And we were like, as soon as we met. So
Yep.
she did well there.
Yes.
I'm stoked. And so also we have a mutual, love, let's say love. We both work in mining, and it was something that sticks out to me when you said that you work within mining and nutrition. There is such a huge gap when it comes to education around that. So I would love to know what it is that you do now, who it is that you are helping, and what it is that you find, I suppose, are the most challenges that people face in the work that you do now.
So hello, and I live in Karratha. I live in beautiful Pilbara for about 40 years now. And as some people might or might not know, it's obviously mining town. So every second person is in a mining. So you basically, always surrounded with, by them. When I started nutrition, I didn't see the gap until, sort of, what I was going to say, started to, see people in Karratha and what they do and what they not doing. And I was like, oh, okay. No one is really giving any nutrition advice when it comes to shift workers, FIFO people, night shifts. You can't have the same habits and even like follow the nutrition plan as someone who works 9 to 5. So I started to look into a little bit more, what are these people doing? How do they eat? Why they are not thriving? Yes, 12-hour shifts, it's long. Let's be honest. But fatigue fatigue is not something that comes with the job. And everyone takes it as like, yeah, is it not part of the job? Well, not necessarily. And then I started to have a few clients when I was doing meal plans for them and started to kind of dig deeper. I was like, okay, so they're trying to do this, but it's not really working. Especially when you have night shift, you also have to flip everything upside down. Like you're probably going to have your breakfast before your night shift and the dinner after. And again, it would not work for everyone. So you have to really manipulate the food around what they do, but also individually for every single person. It's not one thing fits everyone. And that's something I started to find really fascinating. Okay, what else we can do? So those few minors asked us, oh, look, do you do like workshops and stuff? And I say, yeah, I do. I was like, oh, you should come and speak with one of our supervisors. So I was like, oh yeah, cool. And it was, I think it was a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now. And he said, oh, we need to hit our KPIs for hydration. What can you do? So I was like, okay, yeah, this is a really big topic when it comes to mining, especially if you're up in Pilbara, which is scorching hot pretty much all the time. So I did couple then just from there, it was a ripple effect. Okay, we need to know a little bit more. What was really interesting for me to see when I started to talk, all of these men were like sitting like this, and I was like, okay, laugh, what you gonna say? And I don't know if you remember the time when it was all about the men shake. I think it was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
the men shake boom.
Yeah,
and I was trying to explain
the man shake boom. I love that.
And I was trying to explain, okay, so let's have a look at your breakfast. Let's have a look at your lunch. Let's have a look at your dinner. Let's see what you have in your crew mess. And I remember this guy with big beard, he was probably in his 50s, 60s. He was sitting there like this, and like sort of towards the end of my workshop. And I was asking like, individually, I was like, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Because I like to have my workshops interactive. So it's not just me yapping at you all the time, but also ask me questions, see where you are at. Maybe let's tweak it as we go. And he was sitting like this. Men shake doesn't go anywhere, love. So I was like, okay. All right. Well, maybe, not now, but maybe you perhaps wants to think about something changing later on. No. All right.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, everyone is either on mentioning, everyone is on some sort of diet. Your body doesn't care what you call it. It just needs food. It needs nutrition. It needs nourishment. And I strictly discourage people to follow any particular strict diet when you are in mining or if you are shift work or night shift, because it's really detrimental. You already putting yourself through stress for long hours. Why would you put even more stress when it comes to your food and trying to do some crazy things? Because I've heard some really crazy things for people who it's just extra stress which is not needed. And I think this needs to be talked about, and we need to address this and teach people to actually do better when it comes to food and not looking at it as like, oh, I just need to eat because I need to eat. There is a little bit more behind it. You want to be capable. You want to be, switched on. You want to have energy. You don't want to just eat and just, survive day to day.
Yeah. And food's fuel, right? Like I think people forget that actually what you're putting into your body is fuel.
Yes.
And you need so much fuel up there. And even because what I love, because I was a personal trainer, and something that I noticed was when we do the 8-week challenge, it was 1,200 calories, which is nothing for women. And then it was like 1,600 for men. And they're encouraged to come 4, 5, 6 times a week. And they're going, like at least, 300 to 500 calories of output where they're going hard. What was on the scan was the basal metabolic rate, which is, the base amount of food or calories that people need. And I feel like that number is so important for people, and not a lot of people are hitting it. And then you think about mining and you think about the output of, it's like you're doing a workout.
Yes.
Unless you're like sedentary, you're working at a desk or whatever. The output up there would be wild, and you have such insight into the conversations with being up there, because I know that there's so much output, but I don't know what everybody's eating, and it's not necessarily the conversation that I have up there.
Yeah.
So it's wild to hear that, like most people are on some kind of diet, but it isn't new to hear that people don't have that education around nutrition, because we just don't.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, going into a 12-hour-a-day job, like putting your body and your mind on the line, you're going to need that fuel.
Yeah.
So I've got so many questions, like even from what you were sharing. We'll go down the path of, like getting to know more of what it is that you do and how you help and maybe some tips and tricks. But I'd also love to know what it is that shaped you and what got you to the point of being able to help. I know that you said you were giving some meal plans, but I'd love to go back. Often when I have people on the podcast or just in general, if people are in service to others or if they're helping other people, it comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's not always a thing that people tend to do. And you just have such a warm energy and kind. And even when we met, you had that energy. So I'd love to know, where that came from. And you've obviously got a little bit of an accent.
Yes.
And so can you take us back? I'd love to speak about it in, like where you came from and I suppose what food and your upbringing around food. And yeah, I would love to know more about Anna in what shaped you personally.
Yeah. So my accent is from Slovakia, so all the way from Eastern Europe. I grew up on the farm, which back then I thought it was a curse. Until recent years, I actually find out that it was a blessing. And I wish I could have this sort of upbringing for my daughter as well, and probably it's not going to happen, but I'll try it as much as possible I can do when it comes to that. We had everything on the farm, pretty much everything. So we never really shopped outside because, like I said, we had meat, fruits, veggies, everything. Even my mom, she was making cheese, butter, everything. So for me, it was like, oh yeah, it's there, Like also when you're a child, it's like, okay, yeah, you just take it for granted. And then I moved to England and started to buy my own food, and I was like, first of all, it didn't taste that good.
English, it does.
Yeah, so it was like everything was like packaged.
It's like
thing.
stodgy.
Yes, yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay, God knows where it came from, but yeah, we need to eat. I moved to Australia about 8 years ago. I was working in hospitality for 12 years. So another piece, connection piece to what I do now when it comes to food, because again, hospitality, food. I was very fortunate to work with amazing chefs in England, in some really high top restaurants. So I was always surrounded by food. I also end up in Switzerland in greenhouses. So we were... what was that? There was cucumbers, tomatoes, aubergine, salads, and things like that. That was kind of... I applied for a visa to come to Australia, but it wasn't very straightforward for me, for everyone else. It took months and months. And I already resigned from my job and my flat and everything in London because I thought it would be instant. Like everyone said, oh, it takes a couple of days, maybe up to a week. Yeah, right. So then I said, okay, it was towards Christmas. I'll go home, spend time with my family, and hopefully after that, the visa comes. No. And my best friend was like, okay, so what are you doing now? And I was like, oh, I'm not sure. Oh, do you want to come to Switzerland with us? She was already working there for 5 years maybe. And we were out drinking and drinking. Back then I was
having a good time.
Having a good time, yes. I was, in my 20s.
Quite enjoyed a little drink, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, come to Switzerland with us. And it's like, yeah, sure, no worries. I have nothing to lose. I don't have visa. And, it's going to come. Next day, she called me and she said, okay, my boss said, you can come in 3 weeks' time. We're driving to Switzerland. I'm going to be there for the season. What? She said, Anna, well, you said yes last night. Did I? So I was like, well, I guess we're going.
Yeah.
I remember I went downstairs and I said to my mom, I was having breakfast. I said to my mom, I'm going to Switzerland with my best friend Paulina, to work on a farm. She lost it. She was crying. You, princess from England, you gonna work in greenhouses, when I asked you to come and help me to just water my plants, you said, no, you're not doing these kind of jobs. I was like, well, I guess I'm going. It was tough. It was a tough gig. But again, another piece closer to what I do now. I saw food, we were growing food, picking the food. And so, again, I took it for granted. Now I wish I had something like this in my back garden. And then, everything changed when I came here. Food was again different. Lifestyle was very different. Climate very different. So I was like, okay, how are we going to navigate all of this? Everyone was super fit. I moved to Perth first before I went to up north. Everyone was so fit. Everyone was training and whatnot. And I was like, okay, well, we have a bit of adjustment to do here. It took time. I didn't pay much attention to personal development or any like sort of health and well-being gig. Like, you are not really shown this road when you work in hospitality. You work. And then I moved to Broome to extend my visa, and that's where everything started. I was introduced to yoga teachers, and we're doing breath work, we're doing we're reading books, and I got sucked into network marketing for health and well-being products. So I was like, okay, I took it. I like to try something for me. So I didn't really do it as a business as such until COVID hit. And then I realized maybe my hospitality job is not serving me anymore. I don't enjoy it as much as I thought I did. It was just consuming me all the time. You're always, stressed and, always go because that's how it is. You're working Mondays, Sundays, weekends, Christmas, you hospitality.
Yeah.
I also often say hospitality is very much like mining or shift worker because you're working long hours.
Yeah.
You're not going there for 2-3 hours. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And you have to fuel your body well. Was I doing it right back then? No. 5 coffees. Yay.
Yeah.
And especially when I was in England, I was working in the city. Everyone coffee, Starbucks massive, grande one. And I was like, and that was the lifestyle of which I thought like everyone is doing. That's the right thing to do. 5 coffees a day. And then when I was walking home, you grab something and you think it's the right thing, right? Everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
And things started to slowly go say, okay, things have to change. If I want to change, because this cannot carry on like this for any long. I did have a lot of health issues when I came to Australia with my gut, with my skin. Just lots of adjustments which I didn't realize what's going on. I was never really connected to my body as such. I was very, very, very disconnected for a very, very long time. And until recent years, I've noticed that there is more. And that also came through my bodybuilding journey as well.
You have such a journey that's gotten you to that point, and it seems like you're so open-minded to hear what it is the gaps are within your own kind of journey and your own education around it. And definitely, like you mentioned, network marketing, but also bodybuilding and things like that. And I think often people have to be open and ready to start to go down the self-development kind of path and all those kind of things. You also mentioned growing up on a farm and your access to, like so much organic food and everything like that. I feel like it's so interesting how, as I'm 40, don't know how old you are, but
36.
Nearly. It's funny how the world, we've gone back to, all of us would love that. And actually the dream for a lot of people is to have like a little hobby farm or have access to all the organic food.
Yeah.
And it's interesting what you take for granted when you're in it. You know, you just have no idea. When growing up in Slovakia, what was like the understanding around food, or what was the food that you grew up eating? I know that it was like organic and from the farm and everything like that. But what was understanding around food? What was your beliefs around food or body image or anything like that when you were growing up as a kid, a child, a teen, and then going into your 20s before you kind of moved away?
Yeah. Looking back, I don't think it was very healthy, but no one was really talking about it. It was very taboo, back in the days, especially when in Eastern Europe, it's very different. I didn't grow up in the way where everyone was very positive about, how you look like, body image. My grandma, she was the worst. She would shame everyone who was fat.
Yeah.
You're fat, you're not good enough. And, even me and my younger brother, we were always, like the chubby kids. I remember when I was 7 or 8 and she was not giving me much food because it was like, you can't be, too big, like it's not good. Mind you, I wasn't like very big or anything, so I was like, and that kind of stuck with me, but I didn't realize it affected me so much until recent years. But you're carrying that way throughout. And if you don't pay attention and you don't do any personal development, or if you're not trying to do a little bit better in life, you wouldn't even think that's really affecting you. Oh yeah, your grandma said you were chubby. What's the big deal? For a little girl, can be a huge deal later on because you constantly gonna think about food. You're constantly gonna think, I was like, am I too big? Am I not too big? Am I chubby? Am I this? Am I that? It's just not healthy. And I think this is something we need to address and be really careful how we speak around our kids. Especially I have a daughter, she's 5 months old, and I would hate for her to grow up in the same environment I did. And I would do anything I possibly can in my power, not shaming or looking myself in the mirror. I was like, oh, I look fat. I look this. Oh, I'm not happy, like very negative, or weighing myself constantly. Or I was like, no, you can't have this. No, this is not good for you. No, like it's really damaging.
Yeah, I love I'm so passionate about that as well because it's important. What establishes how you feel about yourself, and also how you see others speaking about themselves is so important as well. And being a mother and a mother to a daughter, and also being somebody who people look up to or go to for education, I think it is really important. And it's so interesting to hear where it's come from. And I know so many people would resonate with potentially, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. I think there's so much around body image and shaming that comes from not on purpose, but with parents and grandparents, because that's the world they grew up in.
Yeah.
Like your grandma was probably shamed for,
Probably. But, she thought it was funny.
Yeah.
She thought like if you say those things, it's funny.
Yeah.
And I said it's not like a lot of people would not take it as a joke, like those things stays with you. So, yeah.
Yeah. I love having that conversation. And so you then went down the path. You ended up moving. I love how in your drunkenness you're like, yeah, we're going to Switzerland. It's going to happen here. And then you end up on a farm where your mum's like, what the bloody hell? Like I wanted a little bit of help and you couldn't even give it to me, which took you to the UK and then you ended up coming over to Australia and you were introduced to, like when you said with bodybuilding and traditionally with bodybuilding, there's a lot of structure and rigidity around nutrition. I'd love to know what your journey was with the bodybuilding and what it was that you took away from that.
Yeah.
And then also as well where you maybe the unhealthy habits that also come with it. I'd love to get insight into that.
Where I am now and how everything is at the moment, I do thank bodybuilding. I know bodybuilding is shamed for many reasons, like it's not healthy for you and whatnot. Yes, you can end up on that road. But I want to say thank to that journey, I healed my relationship with food. I healed my relationship with myself and with my body. I finally understood that little missing piece that, nutrition, yes, when it comes to bodybuilding, you need to do a lot of tweaking and adjusting. And yes, there's going to be time and, you are depleted and things, but that's part of the journey. When I started bodybuilding, first, like my friend introduced me to it. I was like, oh, would you like to? I was like, oh, I always admired bodybuilders since I was like in my 20s, but I never had that dedication when I was in my 20s, But I was like, I want to give it a go. but not necessarily because I wanted to shrink my body. I wanted to know more about the things. I was there for the journey. I was not there for the pro card or anything like that. I was like, I want to see how the whole process is. I was very fortunate. My coaches were always on point, and they coached me in a way that I never spiraled down to binging or having even worse relationship with food. And this is, I think, where people would have bad outcomes when the coach is not looking after them well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I hear also. I haven't been down the path of bodybuilding, but I've definitely, and I think actually mining sometimes lends its hand to it because you can find structure within working away. Once you're in a good structure, sometimes it can lend its hand to it because you can find a rhythm. But there's so much more of a base that people kind of need. And you never know what's going to be your pivotal moment when it comes to nutrition or your body or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I would love, like, what did it look like for you when you found it with a friend? And so you were doing bodybuilding. You were doing bodybuilding with a friend as well? Were you training and everything?
She did a few shows before me. So she was just like coaching me to that. So that was the first show. And I thought like that's going to end. But I felt like at the end, I was like, there's still more. I want to go for another one. But I had to change coach because she didn't have that much time. When it comes to that sport, you need like dedicated coach is going to be there with you, because when you have those moments, like you need, come back.
Yeah.
It's more mental game than anything else. You can train, you can, follow the plan, but the mental game is something that it will shape you for life, and you're going to just have more focus and clarity in every aspect on your life. So I've changed the coach, and I went for another season and another season. But every season just unfolds something more about me. Just a little story when it was coming to my
Competition?
Yeah, or when you're doing posing, it's just the first couple of years.
Can you do me a favour? So go back and say that whole thing. So go, so just a little story when I was doing so finish it off. Sorry.
Just a little story when I was still competing with posing. I had problems first couple of years because I just look very robotic, and it was just not very flattering, even though I was trying so much, until I think it was my third show. I finally felt like, okay, I'm more feminine. It just, something clicked, but I had to work on it. I was like, what is it there that it just doesn't allow me to be more feminine? And I spoke with one of the mindset coaches, and she said, like, you are so much in your masculine all the time. That's why the feminine never comes.
Is that with the structure and everything like that?
Yeah. So, and yeah, like I said, it took me years.
Yeah.
But you just have to keep going, and you are there for the journey. If you want to ever try bodybuilding and you're not there for the journey, you are there for the trophies, or, you're there to shrink yourself, this is a wrong idea, very wrong idea.
Mm-hmm. And it's so detrimental to have a coach or even someone like yourself who educates around nutrition. It's mind-blowing to me that no matter who we are, where we come from, no matter what country we live in, we all eat food. Some are far more privileged than others, and we've got access more than other countries. But we don't get enough nutritional education. And what we get is, the pyramid. I don't know if it was the same in your upbringing, but the pyramid where the carbohydrates down the bottom, which were always the bread and the grains, and then it would go up into the vegetables, and then it would go proteins and then fats. Yeah. And finding out that was like sponsored by a company that provides the things on the bottom that you should have the most. That was kind of the limited education, unless you had a parent or a family member or someone who educated you more around nutrition. So I think it is essential. If you don't know about nutrition, and there's a lot of things on the internet and stuff that you can listen to, and you've spoken about it before where you've got to find what works for you, and I 100% believe that. So what is it that you find with all of that in mind, what do you find that the biggest challenges are for people when it comes to nutrition or education or finding what works for them? Like what, with a client that you've worked with or the conversations that you've had most, what is it that people tend to come to you with what they're struggling with?
It will be always weight loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, always weight loss. And, when I start if I take anyone online, I was okay, right, let's unfold what's going on. What are you doing? What are your habits? I want to know everything from the moment you wake up until you go to bed. They also have to fill up the questionnaire prior, so I know exactly what this person, like the behavior is and what are the habits, why they are failing, why they're not there where they want to be. And once we talk about those things, like, okay, right, when we're starting the diet, like, what diet? Like, we need to look into those things. We need to, like you told me, you barely go to toilet, you barely sleeping, but you want to lose weight, which you eating like a little bird. I was like, there is a lot of elements there we need to look, into first. The weight loss will come, but you need to also connect to your body. Mm-hmm. So I like to show people and teach people how the mind-body connection works. It's not just, let's lose weight. What actually brought you to the point you are now? And also it took you a while to get where you are. So don't expect to fix it in a couple of weeks and, voila, we are, skinny again. No. And also skinny doesn't mean healthy or happy. And this is another thing that also diet culture always, trying to say you need to be skinny, you need to eat this, you need to do that. No, it might also work for some people, but not for everybody. And now in the world of internet and everyone is giving you so many advices, which some might work, some might not. You need to see what is the context, because sometimes certain tips are out of context for somebody. Let's say if you are a performance coach and you're giving tips for people who are, who are athletes, this is not going to work for someone who is sitting in the office. And people getting these wrong ideas of doing things because they follow wrong advice for them. And this is the same for mining and shift workers. They're trying to adapt someone else's lifestyle, or trying to keep the habits or lifestyle of what they had prior to that. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I love that. Can you talk us through then what is it that people need to break through before they're able to find what does work for them? I can imagine there's beliefs that they have or like similar to what you were sharing around their upbringing or, how they feel about food or how they feel about themselves and their body. Are there things that you find that you're working on first to shift and shake before they're able to get into a rhythm?
Yes. When we're starting to have more and more conversation, this is, like when I work with people one-on-one, it's not just one conversation or one meal plan. Like we are together for a few months to actually unfold and unpack all of those things. That's why I said I can't fix your things in a couple of weeks. We need to, from what you told me, we have work to do for a while. I always try to go back to where it started, to their childhood, how they brought up, what they were eating, what they were doing. And then you're going to start seeing those things as, when we were little, we were always told, you have to finish everything on your plate. And it just sticks with them. So whatever they would do now, finish everything. It just has to be empty plates. I was like, but why? Oh, this is how we brought up. That's how we grew up. I was like, okay. Again, this is not particularly healthy relationship with food, because sometimes you just overeating I just need to finish it.
Yeah. Just off such a small belief, like in words, I can imagine it would have been, and same in our household where it would have been a consistent thing, like eat everything on your plate. Especially if you didn't grow up in a household with, like a lot of money either, where it was like, you should be grateful for everything that you've got on your plate.
Yes.
Eat all of that, like I can imagine that would be a consistent thing that's happening. Yeah. Keep going. Tell us more.
There's a lot of trauma. Not all of my clients, but they carry something from the childhood. They were probably shamed by their peers, and then they just keep carrying that until, you know, they are 40, 50, even 60. And I was like, where is this coming from? And I was like, oh yeah, you know, when we were kids, you know, I was always shamed, I was always this. And I was like, okay, so do you still believe? Are you still the little girl? And she's like, yeah, I think I am. I think that's why I'm still struggling with food. I still, you know, not eating enough or not eating at all and bashing myself at the gym because, you know, I'm still that little chubby girl that I was always told I was. And I said, yeah, but we need to heal that. You know, let's find a different ways how we can heal that and leave that little girl there. Like, you look at you now, it's just stopping you to get where you want to be. So I find there is a lot of something somewhere from the past.
Yeah.
And it can have a lot of damage on whatever they do, even when it comes to work or relationships or things like that. Even my grandma story, that's something what got me to be really unworthy of things and getting things, be successful. When I got my first workshop for one of the mining companies, you know, I was like, oh my God, you know, like I was stoked because I had like two workshop back to back. And I was like, I said to my husband, I was like, oh my God, finally, yeah. 4 days before, something was like literally stuck in my throat. And I said to my husband, I think I'm going to email them. I'm going to cancel it. I can't do it. And he was like, what do you mean? You were working for this for how long? You know, they already paid and, you know, you're supposed to go. I just feel like I can't do it. And then my coach back then, she said, was like, why don't you try, gosh, what do you call it? Hypnosis.
Yeah.
And first time when she mentioned it, like, I was like, nah, it's for woo people. I was like, I don't know. But I was at a point when I couldn't even breathe. And I was like, I would try anything to get that pain out of my chest away. So I messaged someone who is in Croatia who was doing it. I was like, can you fit me in, please? I have this and this. I need someone to help me. And she said, yeah, can you come tomorrow? I was like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. And, you know, when she tried to got me, like, you know, into the hypnosis and things. And she said, you will be still conscious, but I'm going to keep asking you questions and things. Where did we get? To my grandma's story. To my grandma. I was like, where do you see yourself? And I just could see my grandma telling me this, that fat people cannot do anything in life and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I remember I was crying, you know, in that chair. And she was like, you know, let that memory, you know, pass. And it was just really painful experience to go through. I was like, how much damage can someone's grandma do just for saying those things? And like I said, trauma can come in a different ways and can stop you to do big things. And luckily I did take that step and went through that, because I would cancel it. I would not go. Like, that's how painful it was for me to have this, like, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I can't do it.
It's so, you know, being in the space that we're in, like being on the podcast, I know that in the past I would have been like, who do I think I am? Who do you think you are sitting here on this chair? Who wants to hear what we have to say? You know, like that's such a human thing to navigate.
Yeah.
And when I often get asked as well with speaking, doing public speaking, doing workshops, similar to you, I've 100% been there where you've got a big company, one of the first that have reached out and you're like, who do I think I am? I don't know enough. Like, I'm going into a room full of all these people who've got a bigger repertoire than I have. They're, you know, multi-million, billion-dollar companies that are dealing with all these decisions.
Yes.
It's imposter syndrome. And I get approached often or asked of like, how do you do that? How do you stand up and talk? And similar to the story of when you were sharing about having that guy there who was like, nah, it's not going anywhere, and being heckled and being told, you know, like, oh, fuck off, you know, like I've had that before. It's that feeling of fear and the like the gut-wrenching, the like the throat where you don't feel like you can talk. I've now know is you only get that feeling when you're doing big things, when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, when you're showing up in the world kind of how you're supposed to. Not supposed to as in like an obligation, but we play it safe. I've played it so safe most of my life, and that feeling, I love being surrounded by other people who have that feeling and then do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's people who have that feeling, and there's a past version of Anna that would have cancelled that workshop. Becky would have cancelled, who do I think I am to do a podcast, not show up, having amazing guests that I get to have. But it's when you're doing exceptional things, and I want to be surrounded by those people who are doing that and then doing it anyway, feeling that fear where you're actually you're packing your dacks, you feel like you're going to poo yourself, and you're like, okay, we're showing up anyway.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that, and I appreciate that you did push through your comfort zone, because what I think we don't realise in those moments when it's about us is how many lives you're going to impact. And if you weren't to do that, that those people miss out. And so the amount of lives that you've impacted by showing up to that workshop, and the ripple effect that you caused by stepping through that, pushing through that fear, but also the work that you did I think a lot of people don't see that, the work that you had to do to get to that point, going through that trauma with your grandma and having to navigate what it was. It's not easy work, is it, doing that? And so I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's a really important part. What is Untapped? What made you start that, and what is it that you do, and what is it that you help people with?
When we go in and help clients around whatever problems they're having, it's typically a performance issue. The performance comes as a result of the system, right? And people interact with the system. So in a lot of respects, it's not a technical solution, it's a human solution that's lacking. And that is the work that we do in Untapped, where everyone is treated as an individual, and what coaching they're going to need depends on their own experiences. The idea at the time with Untapped would be to provide leadership training, coaching. So Untapped for me was about untapping people's potential, investing in people, like the people who join our business, the podcast, the undergrads. If we're able to do that, we should do it. Something that's always stuck with me, and it's one of our values at Untapped. People go where they are wanted, and they stay where they are appreciated. If you can create an environment where people want to be part of that, and then you value them, appreciate them, then you've got a great platform for whatever it is you want to achieve. So that's Untapped in a nutshell.
It took me years. And so if someone thinks that trauma or any misbeliefs you have can fix in a short period of time, you are very delusional. It's a lot of work, but you have to be willing to go through it. That coach, she told me, I was like, okay, we heal this level, but there would be another level, another devil. So because she's like, oh, do I need another session? And she said, when you reach another level, another devil, you will.
It'll come.
So of course there were a few after that, but you have to push through. But I felt lighter. I felt like I was like, okay, that person is there. Grandma is not longer alive. I was like, come on, you can do this, and you can do big things. And this is also like why I always try to do a little bit more, a little bit extra, because I can. I believe I can. I lived for so many years in a misery. No, I can't do it. I just, stay in a comfort zone. My mom was always telling me when I wanted to start a business, why don't you get a normal job like everyone else? Why can't you just work 9 to 5 like everyone? Why you have to do more things? And I said, Mom, because I can. I know I can do more. I can give more. They have so much to give, so much to share, and I can help so many people. Why I would just keep that for myself and just, put my head down and do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So for her, it was very difficult to understand why. So
I love that you don't get a whisper by accident, I don't think. And so, that desire to want to help people and push through that and, show up unconventionally and not have that safe job is my favourite people to be surrounded by. And so with, the work that you've done, maybe somebody's not necessarily open-minded to hypnosis, or maybe they are, and that's from listening to the podcast, they make that change.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you help with nutrition And also, by the way, you've been asked to be in that room because they don't have the education that you have.
Yeah.
I think we forget that, like, they're coming to me, multi-billion-dollar CEOs and executives don't know that part.
Yeah.
They know how to, hit ROIs or save money or get more dirt out of the ground, but they don't know about nutrition, well-being, the trauma that they need to work on.
Yeah.
And so for the people that you do work with, what's the work that you do most around shaping people's relationship with food or past traumas within the work that you do or the conversations that you have? Is it having the conversation that it exists and there might be something stopping them, or are there tools and tricks that you kind of do to help them shift little things at first?
Yeah. Is it 101? You're asking them over. Yeah. So we work through this. So we start with baby steps. Okay, we first do this, then we do this. I think a lot of people want to do everything straight away. Let's change everything. It's not going to happen. It's going to be too much. If you're working 12 hours, and if I give you this huge plan of changing everything, you're going to come back in 2 weeks. It's like, no, I'm not doing it too hard. So we need to see what are the gaps, what you can do, what you can't do. You see what environment you are in and what you can control and what you can't control. Because if the environment is against you, okay, let's see what we can control. You don't have that much food maybe in the side. Look, some camps got fantastic food, some not so much. So if not, can we maybe bring something in? Mm-hmm. Can we see what will fuel you better than whatever you're eating, like just grabbing something from the service station? Mm-hmm. Can we look into those small things first? Can we see what you actually, even if you have to eat in the camps, let's see what you can pick is going to actually fuel you better than whatever you were just taking, chips and whatever crap. I was like, do you put any thought to what you're picking or putting on a plate? 9 out of 10 is going to tell you, no, I don't care. I just put on a plate because I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm exhausted, I might be pissed off or whatever it is. I just want to eat, maybe call my wife and kids and go to sleep. So the fact that they have to think about nutrition is very minimal. So if you actually give them a actionable steps, okay, you're going there, you pick this. Is it reasonable? Is it something you can do? Oh, okay, you pick this because XYZ. You pick that because XYZ. You told me that you have, issues with, waking up, for example, at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's generally because of your blood sugars are unbalanced. So let's look into a few things you can pick with what you have and let's try to balance it.
What would you say, like when they're making those decisions, if it's a blood sugar and they're waking up at 3, what are some of the basic things that you go, oh, here's the gap that I hear from most people of what you're not having? A lot of the time, the sites, you'll have the salad bar and the crib that you have to get, which is often like green leaves, tomatoes, cucumbers, things like that. There's fruit, like rock melon, watermelon and cantaloupe. There's, sometimes if you're lucky and you're on a good site, you get bananas. Yeah. There's always apples. And then there's like the yogurts as well. There's a lot of sugar in the yogurts, but there's the yogurts there. What do you find when it comes to making the decisions with lunches? Does that have much to do with the 3 a.m. wake up? Is there things that people can do when they're choosing their lunches?
Yes. So I would look into the whole bigger picture, the whole day, what they're eating, and would, sneak some carbs in, like let's see if there is some sweet potatoes or maybe fruit or anything else we can fit in. So like we balance it. If you, can't balance it throughout the night, like the night meal, even the night meal is going to be perfect. It's not going to do the trick. So we need to see what we can do is like throughout the day, like a small little things we can add. Like I said, some camps got them fantastic food, but again, if you don't know anything, what is you can be, you're still going to pick, whatever. Even if it comes to salads, we believe that salads are super healthy, that we're supposed to be eating. Yes and no. If you're doing 12 hours and you have salad, you're going to be hungry in a couple of hours. It's not very nourishing as such. Yeah, it will be a little bit on the side, but it shouldn't be your main thing to have. But it's like, I eat healthy. I eat salad. It's like, let's, look into what healthy actually means, because having salad every day, all day, unless you're a rabbit, I don't classify that as healthy. Yeah, not on 12-hour shift.
Yeah. So do you find people are lacking like protein and carbohydrates
100%.
mainly? Yeah.
And you might think that everyone knows about protein. Everyone knows how much protein is in what. No, I still find people who have no idea. Like, oh, what is protein? And I was like, okay, like, is it meat? I was like, yes, but also this and this and this. I was like, oh, okay. And I say you need to eat, let's say, 150 grams per day. Oh, easy. I eat 300 grams of steak every night. Yeah, but 300 grams of steak doesn't equal 300 grams of protein. Or is it not?
Yeah.
So you see, we think everyone knows, but no. Like with all of the information we have out there, unless you specifically go and look for it, you don't have that information. And some camps, for example, argue, we have fantastic food in our camp. We don't need anything. Yeah, but still, people...
They don't know how to eat it.
Yeah.
You might have the food there, but unless you have the education around it. So what's the gap with protein? So how much protein would be in a normal steak, and then what other protein sources can people kind of choose from throughout the day with their lunches and stuff like that?
So let's say 150 grams of steak would be around 35 grams of protein, roughly.
So you've got 120 grams to go.
Yeah.
To get to your daily. Did you say it was 130 grams that people need of protein per day?
Well, look, it would be ish. It would be individual for everyone, but like if you're gonna stick to 120, 130, that's
so you got a fair bit of protein to go.
Yeah.
So the steak ain't cutting it. So what other stuff can you get? What other things can you pick? Like there's eggs and stuff there.
Yeah.
What would you suggest people to go for?
So breakfast, let's see what is there. Do you have eggs there? Even bacon, a little bit of bacon. There's nothing wrong with a bit of bacon. Like
Good to hear.
Yeah. Is there a bit of yogurt? Can we have like Greek yogurt with some berries or something like that on the side? Even like sausages is not something you're gonna eat every day, but for some variety, I've seen some camps would even have like chicken or cottage cheese or things like that. Again, fantastic. Cup of Greek yogurt, cup of cottage cheese, you already have around 30 grams of protein. So you're already halfway just if you have a proper breakfast. And especially if you starting early, have a good breakfast. Some people argue, I can't eat at 3, 4, 5 a.m. It's fine. Eat it at your smoker, because they call it smoker, at 9, 10, wherever you have it. That's very going to be your breakfast. Fine. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to eat when you wake up, especially if you're mining. The timing would not apply for mining because everyone's shift starts later or they don't have breaks in specific times. So I wouldn't focus on the timing. Lunches, again, have a look. What is there? Can you have... Is there chicken? Is there fish? Can you just have quick sandwich? Nothing wrong with sandwich. Just make sure there is sufficient amount of, chicken, ham, cheese, quickly something put together.
Yeah, I love that. And I think often as well most people are under-eating and 100% under-eating. Carbs got such a bad rap, didn't they?
They're good for you. Obviously which carbs we're looking at as well, but also see what you're doing. What is the, output? Like if you're also training, because some miners still after the long shift would train or they would train before. Fantastic. But make sure you have some carbs somewhere around so you're actually fueling yourself as well. Don't just cut it all out because that later on will also affect your sleep. If you don't have carbs for prolonged period of time, it will come and mess your sleep. And people are like, I'm eating great, no carbs. Well, how long have you been like this? Oh, for ages. Yeah, it takes ages for your body to be like depleted, nothing, and it will show somewhere else. The majority of them would be probably sleep for miners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also talked about, so the sleep I can imagine would be a big thing up there and definitely people are waking up earlier than you. There's people waking up through the night. Like I rarely sleep well when I'm up there. Earplugs have been a game changer and having like solid food. I often take like oats, chia seeds, almond milk, and I'll have like coconut yogurt. I'll have to take the coconut yogurt up there and I'll have like almonds on it. But what I've found myself personally being a 40-year-old woman, so very different to potentially some of the people that you're working with, I have a bit too much of a spike from having that, and I didn't realise because I have that every morning. Do you know, like, is that a good breakfast to be having it? Like, I pretty much have it. I think my spicy ADHD brain just could have that every single day. And so when I'm up there, is that too much of a spike if I'm not necessarily going hard with my output or?
I would probably say it's a little bit low in protein for my liking.
Yep. So what should I put in there?
Coconut yogurt, it's higher in fats but lower in protein. So maybe I would chuck a little bit of protein powder in there.
Protein powder. I've been told that's okay. So as of today, she's going to go get some protein powder. And it's funny too because I would say that I have a lot more than other people's education around food. But even I miss out on stuff because life gets busy.
Yes.
So is that like a staple that you would recommend to a lot of your clients is having a protein powder to get the protein in?
For some minors, yes. Because they have limited access to food or time, okay, take the protein powder with you, at least something, and at least you have 25, 30 grams of protein, whatever protein powder they choose to use, at least something, you trying to be ahead of the game for the chasing the protein, if there is nothing else. Would you live on the powder all the time? Probably not. I've seen some, they try, but I was like, oh, your guts in a few months or a year, wow.
And also going to the bathroom, it would impact that. Yeah. So that's an issue that I hear as well, like being able to go to the bathroom regularly.
Yes.
What do you find people are missing when it comes to that? Like, I can't imagine a world where I don't go to the bathroom at least twice, like in a day or like once in a day. I just would be miserable. And when people tell me that they're not, I'm like...
And they take it for normal?
And they think it's normal. Yeah. So what's kind of like, again, everybody's different. What's a normal amount of going to the bathroom and what are some of the things that people can do to change that?
So first of all, let's acknowledge that not going to the bathroom every day, it's not normal. Okay, once or twice, ideally you want to go every day. Let's look what you're eating. Is there enough fiber? Is there actually enough food? Is there enough water? Are you constantly eating protein powders and especially protein bars? Some of them are very high in fiber, so which you think, oh, good thing, but it can do, undo the thing for some people, or you go a lot. See what you can add in. Is it a bit more water, a bit of a different variety of food? Maybe take less protein powder. If you already have protein powder 3 times a day, I think it's already quite a lot. Quality of protein powder. Not all of them are made equal, and also like pre-packaged food as well. I would look into what is actually in there. Look, if you don't have any other option. And it's every now and then, okay. But if it's every day for weeks, months, maybe years, that's where you're going to start slowly seeing problem later on.
Yeah. For people making those changes, I know that, when you're brought in to do a workshop or when people are coming to talk to you, there'd be like a baseline of things that people are lacking knowledge around. And especially in those environments where food is accessible, whereas in other workplaces you don't get food. You don't get given food. You've got to bring it yourself. So like you said, 9 to 5, you choose what you're making and still people don't necessarily get the right food there. But we are lucky in those environments where a lot of food is provided.
Yeah.
So when you're doing your workshops or having those conversations, what are some of the tools and tips and tricks that you talk about the most with people? You've said with the baseline of, the protein and changing your sleep habits and, changing how much, what food you're having when. What does it look like to sit in a workshop with Anna as, say I'm like a 45 to 50-year-old male, I'm maybe about 100 kgs. My sleep is lacking. I'm waking up at 3 a.m. I'm not going to the gym because I'm so exhausted all the time. I've got 2 kids at home, and when I'm at home, I'm eating like quite stodgy food. So it's like a meat, 3 veg and, things like that. I'm not quite hitting, I'm getting about 1 to 2 litres of water a day and I'm stressed out all the time.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that kind of prick your ears with that, and how would you navigate having a conversation with that person, like within the workshop, or how would you go with helping that person?
I would start with the whole day, like how are you actually starting your day? Are you just get out of the bed and you have 2 minutes to get ready, jump on the bus to get you to the side? Like, do you have a little bit more time? How is your sleep? What was the first thing you put, into your body? Because a lot of people would start with an energy drink at 3 a.m.
So talked about that. How does an energy drink affect you?
Look, I'm not saying energy drink is bad thing, but it's not. If you're constantly relying on energy drinks all day, every day, there is something wrong. You're supposed to be fueling with food, not with caffeine and not coffee all the time. There is something missing. And also it gives you that hit of energy for a couple of hours and then you're going for another one because it isn't
crash.
Yeah, So food. Let's see, can we have more foods, more sustainable food that's going to carry you a little bit longer than a couple of hours and give you the crash? When was the last time you actually did blood test? What else it's ongoing? Because when I asked these questions in the workshops, 9 out of 10, I can't remember when I was, I don't know, in my 30s maybe or something. Well, you're a 50 years old man. You need to know this. Oh, my GP said like everything is fine. Well, did he run the test? No. So how does he know? Like just to look at you?
And so what tests are they that you recommend?
So I would
for
just,
people?
for healthy individuals, I would go at least once a year. I would ask your GP, can you just run all of the blood tests for me? Your iron level, your vitamin D, iron, vitamin D, like the most common one. What else you can get? Not every GP wants to run all of them, but see what you can
Would you
get.
insist that they do run, like I know because
100%.
GPs, because sometimes it has to cost, and some of them cost money.
Yes.
But you recommend all of the vitamins, all the minerals, all of like iron and things like that to get a blood.
Yeah. For, like I said, healthy individual, I will do it at least once a year. If you have something ongoing, and maybe do it every 6 months. If your GP doesn't want to do it, go and find someone else or do it privately. But I would encourage 100% everybody to do it because you need to know. Like if you're going low, okay, what we can do to bring it up so you don't end up with something much worse than just low iron. Mm-hmm. That also can indicate you're constantly tired because you don't have iron. The same with vitamin D. If it's non-existent, again, you can have mood disorders. You can, mental health issues. Yes, just because your vitamin D is non-existent. Mm-hmm. There is a reason why we need to, expose ourselves to sun, every day. It is very important to know. And then we can see, can we bring these markers up with food? Do we need to bring more supplements? Maybe possibly medication? It is very crucial for people in mining to know this and do this regularly because you working a lot, you putting yourself through a lot, and you're going to get depleted much faster than someone else. Mm-hmm. And you want to prevent from different disease. Mm-hmm. There was one of the workshops I was doing. And then they said, I was like, oh, someone else is coming next week to talk about prostate cancer. And everyone was like kind of like head down. Like everyone was like, oh, is everything all right? I was like, one of the guys who they were working with had prostate cancer. And because he never went to get any tests, he didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was too late.
Yeah. And so he passed a prostate?
I don't know what the outcome was because I didn't go there again after that. But everyone was really scared. Everyone like booked themselves. Why do you wait until it's health? You have health scare.
Yeah, until
to do
it's
that.
too late.
And this is I find a lot of times with people until you are diagnosed with diabetes or let's say prostate cancer or any other diseases, you're not gonna do anything. And then when you have that, oh my God, what should I do? Where to start? I'll do anything. Well, we had this conversation a year ago and you could just do this, and you would be fine.
Little tweaks. It's crazy because Dad was living up in the Kimberley, and so he would go to the doctor regularly and things like that, and his markers changed with his prostate or the tests that they do ever so slightly, and his doctor said it's not too much to worry about. You could go and get it checked. And because he's quite insistent, he's 71 now, just turned 71, and because it changed a little bit, he was like, I'm going to go check. And in between the first time and the second time, his numbers had just escalated massively.
What was the time in between?
I'm not sure. I'm not 100%, but it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
So his changed really rapidly. And if it weren't for – the doctor had kind of said, you don't have to. But he decided to go and get it checked, and he did have – his markers were huge, and – which meant that he had prostate cancer, and he went through having to go through radiation, which was crazy to go through with his body. And it was so detrimental to his energy and all of those kind of things. And he did go and get it checked early. The radiation didn't work. He ended up having to get his prostate taken out. And he actually was like, he was quite what's the word? What's it when you actually go and check on time and like you do things? I can't think of the bloody word. He was quite good at being preemptive.
Yeah.
And
proactive.
Yeah. He was very proactive in making those changes. And so I can imagine, like you're talking about, with having people in general who don't go and check, anything could happen in that time.
Yes.
And so it was a bit of a shake-up for our family because he's quite good at going and checking. So I can absolutely resonate with that.
But also he's very in tune with his body because he knew something is not just quite right. You are the best doctor. If you connect to yourself, to your body, if something is off, you know you need to get something checked. But if you are disconnected, oh, I'm tired. Oh, yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
I'm a bit headachy. Oh, yeah, it's normal. I don't go to the toilet. Oh, yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
Like you are really disconnected, living in this crazy, busy, disconnecting life, and we just don't know. Like if you connect a little bit, you would find those little things. Oh, I need to check this.
Yeah.
Or I need to change this. Or I need to maybe change different provider because your GP cannot fix everything.
Yeah.
You need to go and find the right practitioner to match the problem you have.
Yeah. And so important to talk about when it comes to health and nutrition. And nutrition is preventative, right? Or preemptive.
But this is why when you ask me, we don't have so much knowledge when it comes to nutrition. If we don't need that much meds and big pharma and going to the GP all the time because you can fix quite a lot of things with the nutrition.
Yeah.
I strongly believe you can prevent a lot if you start, quite early. I'm not saying you have to be strict, never touch anything else, but you need to be consistent with the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're empowered, I 100% agree. If we were all empowered and educated around nutrition, we wouldn't need medication. We wouldn't need to be going to hospitals, which is a business. Pharmaceuticals is a business, right?
Yes.
So we wouldn't need it if we had education. So I don't think it's by accident. So if somebody's got a bit of rebellion in them, be a rebel and use your nutrition as power.
Yeah.
Like use your nutrition as autonomy and prevention and health.
Yeah.
Like I 100% agree with you there. And so you wanted to share?
Yeah, and also when, like big pharma is a big business, but also food industry is very big. Don't get sucked yourself into marketing and get everything healthy, everything high protein. When you go to the shops, don't go to the healthy aisle, go and shop around.
Yeah. Go into that's what they say is like, if you can kind of avoid the aisles predominantly. Yeah. And a lot of your nutritional food is found in like the vegetables and around the outside, right?
Yeah. A little bit of chocolate and things here and there, but
balance.
Majority of your food should be from the outside of the aisles.
If it brings you joy, I think I worked with a woman, her name is Lizzie Yorkston, and she was the one who opened my mind to diet culture and how prevalent it is. She's a non-diet dietitian as well, and so who absolutely spot on with what we're speaking about is that everything is around balance. Yes. And if something brings you joy, like if you want a chocolate chip biscuit and it brings you joy, if you want 4 chocolate chip biscuits and they bring you joy, enjoy the damn biscuit. Don't go down a spiral and enjoy it.
Yes.
Don't have a packet of biscuits every day.
Yeah.
You kind of have to do that discernment, don't you, of like, have I talked myself into this is bringing me joy, or is this going to like be long lasting for myself? And so we've talked about having, like a 50-year-old person come to you, a 50-year-old man with say a 40-year-old woman comes to you. Myself, I'm working away mining. My body is like, I feel most healthiest when I'm around, I think I'm around 65 at the moment. That's the biggest I've been. I still feel really healthy, but my body's probably healthiest around 63 when I'm, like eating enough foods throughout the day. Yeah. But I've been there before where I've been exhausted and tired. I go to the bathroom, but they're not great, or I'm exhausted. I hit a wall at like 2 to 3. Actually now I hit a wall like an Energizer bunny is like going hard, and at about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm like dead. I say I've got an extra, say 5 or 10 kgs. I'm working in up on site, either operating underground, let's say, and I don't want to eat breakfast because, or I don't naturally eat breakfast, but I have lunch and dinner. My skin's not great and I feel really like a roller coaster all the time where it's like sometimes I'm happy, sometimes I'm depressed, and it's just a roller coaster all the time.
So first of all, that probably would be hormonal. So again, I would check all of your hormones, especially when it comes to, you might be coming to the menopause.
Yeah, perimenopause, we're going there.
So that would be that. I would question why you're not eating breakfast, and like, is it something that you never eat, or you've been told you need to be intermittent fasting? And even if it's not early, like make sure like you have something substantial to start with. I wouldn't start, for example, on coffee straight away the first thing, because probably is not doing you a great thing. I'm not saying not having coffee, but have something before that coffee.
What if, how operators a lot of the time don't necessarily break for food? What's something that's good that they can take while they're operating?
Whatever they can fit in the, if they have a bag or something, can they take, I don't know, beef jerky, for example, with them? Can they take maybe protein bar, but, good quality one, or anything else they think they can take with them? Because I know they have also limited space. Maybe nuts. I'll just do not go crazy with that, because obviously it doesn't have that much high protein and there's quite a lot of calories in there. That would be probably my 3 things I would quickly get if they don't get a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look into water. Do you drink enough? Do you need more food? If you more lunch and dinner person, do you need more food? What kind of food you picking? Do we need to tweak this? When it comes to skin, again, can be many things. You under eating, it can be hydration, it can be poor quality food, you don't taking any supplements. So again, I will get the markers and see what else is going on.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, see what you can fuel with the food first, and then in the meantime, when you're waiting for your tests, and see what else is missing.
Yeah, awesome. And then, so is there not necessarily a supplement, but say there's like, you find that food in general potentially in Australia working in the industry yourself, is there like a base supplement that you have, like a magnesium or protein and things like that, like a little bundle of things that you tend to have?
Look, it would be not necessarily not anything that I would say, oh, this is the bundle, that's what's going to help you.
Yeah.
It will be different for everyone. But just the simplest generic one, I would probably say magnesium. Again, can help you with sleep and, minerals, especially if you're also dehydrated. Yes, protein if you can't get from food, like I said. Probably iron, but first check before you start supplementing with iron. Vitamin D, but again, I would check before I supplement. And it would not be all around thing. It would be probably some section of the thing. So that's just for base.
Yeah.
Collagen can be also helpful. Yeah, but again, individual things.
Yeah, everybody's so different.
Creatine. That's something I would probably recommend to most people. We know that it has been studied for many, many, many years. So if it was crap, we would know by now. But they keep studying the creatine, and it also suggests that it has a very good impact on your cognitive function, memory. Also very helpful with people in menopause. It can mild some symptoms. Again, it's not going to do the same for everybody, but it can help, some. So energy, that's probably the first one actually I would put, like, just start with something, see how you fall, how you're gonna feel.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I feel like I've got so much more education around it, and I love having that conversation. And I think the biggest thing that I take away from that is, food is fuel, and being empowered with knowing what works for you.
Yeah.
And also asking the questions of, what is it that works for me, and giving things a go.
Yeah.
Like you were saying. And then also assessing where those beliefs have come from. If you don't feel good in your skin, you don't feel good about making a change, or you find that you've got weight on you, is usually not weight. It's you're holding on to something from the past potentially.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about that. So for you, is there something like, are there like something that you wish you knew sooner? Is there something that you're like, oh, I wish I knew this sooner? This would have helped me far, make things easier for myself if I had have known this thing sooner.
There would be more than just one thing.
You could go for it.
I probably would say eating more. It's something you need to, it can actually be more helpful than eating less. I think we've been conditioned to think that we need to eat less. You need to eat less. No, you need to actually eat more to be, to have more clarity, to be more capable and functional, especially cognitively. Not giving to the diet culture as much. Oh yeah, this, that, diet. I was like, no. And connection to yourself. What is actually going on? Like really sit with yourself. What am I actually feeling? What needs to change? Be honest with yourself. And I think a lot of people are very scared of sitting in solitude and actually find the answers within themselves. They go and look everywhere else, but you can actually find a lot if you in tune with your body. Yeah.
I love that. This has been amazing and fabulous. Is there anything that you'd like to finish on, or anything that you'd like to leave on for people who are listening, who their ears have been pricked and they're like, this is a great conversation? Is there something essential that you want to leave on?
No, I think everything has been said. I would say just go and find what is the missing piece for you, to get you where you want to be, healthier, happier. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for coming all this way down with your little bubba, who we've got pictures of as well, from being our youngest guest on the podcast with the microphone. I so appreciate you making time to be here. Thank you for joining us on the Resource Podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's exciting.
such a pleasure. Anna and I are probably going to continue our conversation, and I would love to probe you and pick your brain even more around what might work for myself as well. But if there's something that stuck out for you, if there's something from the episode that you think will help somebody that you know, please like and share. And I'd always love to hear from you around what is working for you, what isn't working. And if you have any questions for Anna or myself or anything that you'd like to speak about in future episodes, I'd love to hear from you. But other than that, thank you for joining us here on the Resource Podcast. Have the most amazing day. And like Anna said, find what works for you, ask lots of questions, and stay amazing. Thank you, team. If you've enjoyed today's episode, you've taken something away, maybe for yourself or somebody else, I would love for you to share, and I'd love to hear from you. We are always keen on having conversations that people want to have and tackling those really hard subjects. So reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me on the Resource Podcast, where we are making a ripple effect and making massive waves.